So the little piece that I want to give us tonight, it's really innocent and powerful. And what a weird and cool combination to be able to have something that is, it's like innocent and precious, and it's also really, really powerful. And it goes like this. The first person I heard talk about this to a small extent was a man named Dr. Christopher Germer, and he does work with self-compassion. And he talked about shame, that feeling that kind of goes, something about me isn't good enough or isn't right enough, or I didn't do it well enough. And he talked about that there's two different forms of shame, and that one is innate. I was like, innate shame, do tell more. And from his perspective, shame is innate because we are built to need positive social connections. And as little babies innately in there, if somebody, says we've done something wrong, think about if we don't have some alignment that goes, uh-oh, that was not what was wanted, I better do something different, then that's why the survival piece is there. So think about just way built in cellularly that we want to do things that please. And that makes sense. So that inherent, there is this innate shame that goes, I have to be careful to do it the right way so that, and survival wise, physiologically, so that we get cared for and we get fed. Makes total sense. But his take was that very soon, and that's like that much that we would have needed. But then there ends up being this learned or social shame. And that's all the pieces that go, I'm not quite good enough. And learning it from other people who have felt not quite good enough, maybe at the actual message that it's not quite good enough, but on and on and on. And those experiences of shame, as a counselor, I remember that for a long time, there was this kind of knowingness like, look, shame does nothing good. Shame and blame and guilt, those were kind of the three that were like, seriously, gang, it's not helpful. So what was beautiful about hearing Christopher Germer's take on shame was that he said it's just this evidence that we want to be loved. And that came from like that innate thing. It's wired in us. And so from my perspective, I just kind of opened that a little bit more to go, let's all of us, anytime we're feeling shame, sometimes that sounds so big that we can't quite catch it. But how about the things about feeling awkward or embarrassed or not quite good enough or kind of like you just want to hide? Anytime you have caught yourself with that, like, oh, I know what that feeling feels like. And I want to pretend that as like a mature grown-up, I never have that, but it's just not true because it's common humanity. We have bits of time of this feeling off or embarrassed or shame in whatever level, hopefully less levels instead of big, fat, tall levels. But they come in phases, they come in shades. So anytime you're experiencing that, or you go, oh yeah, I could tell I was embarrassed. I didn't do that as well as I wanted to, or I didn't get the right response that I wanted to, or any of those things. What I want you to do is I want you to do this affirmation to yourself that goes, when I don't feel, when I do feel shame or awkward or embarrassment, or like I want to hide, it's simply evidence that I want to feel safe and loved. Wow. How cool is that? Because it doesn't do the thing I think we get taught to do, which is like, oh, there's no reason to feel ashamed. Don't do that. But that doesn't honor the fact that for at least for that moment, if you go, oh, I do feel some of that shame sometimes, I do feel not good enough sometimes, or that vulnerable piece. And we don't have to be wallowing in it. I'm not talking about that. But if and when there's a moment that you can look back and go, oh, yeah, I know that feeling, that little shade of, ugh, I want you to really, as a researcher, step back kind of in this objective way and go, huh, all that is evidence that I want to feel safe and loved. Let's say you weren't as good of a parent as you wanted to be today. It's just evidence that I want to feel safe and loved. What if a project didn't work out quite the right way, or somebody looked at you the wrong way or said something different? Huh, that's just evidence that I want to feel safe and loved. And the true kind preciousness about that is amazing. And here's what I'll tell you. I started out this telling you that there were these two times. One was I did a presentation it was comical in some ways because it just did not go well. It was not the right topic. Somebody else chose the topic and it did not go well. And I could feel that like, ugh. And it was amazing to step back from that and go, well, I like it better when things feel real aligned and when it feels like I'm kind of right with them and it was beneficial and helpful. And it was amazing for me to be able to go, this feeling, of course I want to feel safe and loved. Because, gang, this isn't not news, but I want to say it. We all want to feel safe and loved. It is innate within us, not just for the young kid part of us that goes, we know we need to be loved, we know we need to be fed and nurtured, but even as we age and get older, we have that desire. Everyone does, no matter how we come across. And it was amazing. And then that other one, feeling this like there was some funky stuff going on with a place that I work. And it was kind of weird and drama-y. And my heart was hurting about it. Like, oh, this is not good. Things are a little off. And the thing I was a little nervous about was I said something because that's sometimes the way I roll, like, hey, doesn't feel quite right. And then I could feel it be like, oh, is that okay that I said something? And again, it was hugely helpful. It doesn't make the feeling go away immediately, that funk even that we were talking about, but that like, I don't love that. It was awesome for me to just kind of step back again with letting the intelligent, pragmatic mind kind of kick in for a second and go, it's just evidence. It's just evidence that I want to feel safe and loved. And there's something beautiful about that. And it also gave me much more ability when I was kind of watching this thing that was kind of going on. It gave me much more of an ability to go, man, we come across differently, all of us, men, women, older, younger, those who feel very safe in their nests, and those who don't feel so safe and secure in their nests. I'm saying NESS, like their their nests, who they are. But we all just want to feel safe and loved. And there's something very cool about that. So here is your provocation if you so choose it for this whole week. You can do any of those things that we've talked about before. You can definitely do the caring breath with this feeling the flow of breath go in and out and really knowing that it's being literally a very healing, beautiful thing to do. The embodiment practices call us away from the stress in our minds, and they, call us back to kind of that inherent balance that really is there. So you can do that one. You can do the self-compassion break. You can do a little bit of mirror work, but very specifically this week, if you catch any moment that you go, I didn't love that, I feel a little embarrassed, or any version at all of that shame or awkwardness, or I don't feel quite safe, or I kind of want to just hide, any of those things. Again, this isn't about wallowing in it. It's about going, it's common humanity. We all have that feeling at some point. And just let your brain really kick in and go, huh, that yucky, awkward feeling, it's pretty cool that I can use that as just knowing it's evidence that I just want to feel safe and loved. Of course, I want to feel safe and loved, and let yourself just sort of do that. And that's your provocation for the week.